How are you? Whoa. Hey lads, how are you? How's it going? Thanks very much for coming out to see us in the Galway Hotel and Spa here in Galway. The lads have made the trip west. You've been looking forward to this night, lads, haven't you?
Absolutely.
It's good. Great turnout. Great to be here.
Yeah, phenomenal. We love our road shows. We love our live shows. James, we've been a little bit giddy.
A few pints tonight.
Look at this fella.
You do
What
know
was
this
this?
Is that fucking Ty
Kerry
Morley
jersey.
there? That's Ty Morley. You have a match on
You
Sunday,
see a
Ty.
Kerry jersey anywhere?
Go easy on the points.
I am giving up Bank Holiday weekend, Rally weekend in Clarny for this side.
It's a big weekend, but you're in Galway. What better place to be in the country?
Fair.
That's what I'm hoping.
Not a bad spot.
That's what I'm
Beautiful
hoping.
weekend and a beautiful setting here. AIB, of course, sponsor the pod and they bring us on the road. We love our live shows, so thanks very much to AIB for putting this one together. And there's a big off the ball and Bauer backroom team here who've made the room look amazing as well. So, but you guys, it's really important that you're here. We're going to take a seat now because James hates this part. He hates standing up. So James,
I do.
Little legs.
It's like being in a wake when the person in front of you is shaking hands with someone talking and you're just there going, can I sit
Have a
down?
seat, Phoebe. Have a seat. Have a seat. Make yourself at home.
I'll sit down here. Thanks, Paddy.
we've been having a bit of a talk and a lot of chatter about Galway over the last couple of weeks. And obviously there's a big Galway crowd here. Give us a cheer for Galway fans. How are you? Oh, that's pretty sizable. I'm going to ask for another cheer in a minute from you. I want to hear a serious one as well. But Galway, like, there's a bit of excitement. There's a bit of expectation.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
I think so. I think they've earned that expectation over the last couple of years.
Why? Because they've lost 2 All-Ireland finals?
Well, they've got there. At least they've got there. He's on his high horse after Meath last week, lads. Fucking hell. No, look, I think they've been very impressive over the last couple of years and they've carried on this season as well. And I know we'll get to the game on Sunday later on, but I think they're in a really good spot. But you're right, there is big expectation. Not just in Galway, but around the country, a lot of people are tipping these guys.
James, we don't always wear expectation well in this country, do we? We like to play things down, don't we?
I think so.
I'm looking at Kerry here.
Says your man.
Kerry, this weekend,
In general, like, you're always talking Cork up and Cork this and Cork
I am
that.
not a fan of the provincials.
Okay.
Like, realistically, Galway, they are probably 15 points better than Mayo.
What?
They are, like. They actually are. And then in Munster, Clare Division 3 team, Kerry Division 1 team, you'll be thinking probably the same.
But what about the Minnows, Meath, turning over the great Dubs at the weekend as well?
We stopped giving a shit about the Leinster Championship 10 years ago. That's why Meath won.
Dubs are done.
Yeah, you've got a thing against Mayo, so we'll get to that a little later on. Is there
I do
many
not
Mayo
have a thing
people
against
here?
Mayo.
That's what I'm interested in.
Oh, there is.
Wow.
There is. There is.
Okay. I did sense a little bit of nervousness in the room from Galway fans when I mentioned how heavy favourites you are. James saying 15 points. Do you expect to hammer Mayo at the weekend?
No,
See,
from
they're
everyone.
a bit quieter. Yeah, you see, Arrogance is something that kind of caught my eye during the week. I have a piece going out with Kieran McGeeney on Wednesday.
I did see that, yeah.
He has this
Very
big
good.
speech about the difference between confidence and belief. And I was just wondering, Paddy, did you ever get carried away with yourselves in Dublin? Or
We
did
would
you?
have,
Did you
I
ever?
definitely would have, yeah.
Yeah.
He started off carried away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say got carried away during the season.
I was about 15 and just got worse every year to get on. No, we definitely did. Like, you remember, like, I was fortunate. The end of my career with Dublin, we were probably a bit more 6 iron down the middle. But, geez, the first couple of years, Dublin were, that environment was just all the distractions that you look back now and you're cringing, going, fucking hell, but you just focus on trying to perform and play well. Like, and my first couple of years, I definitely bought into it and it didn't help me. But, yeah, we probably did get carried away a few times, most certainly.
We'll come back to that in a second. Is there an element of, and this is the last time I mentioned Meath tonight, is there an element of the Dubs getting a bit complacent? Were they complacent? Like, they have won 14 in a row. Was that an element of last Sunday?
Nobody beats them 15 times in a row. No, I don't think it was complacency. I'd prefer if it was. I think it was just quality.
Yeah.
We said at the start of the year they were going to be under the pump. I did not think... And do you know what? In defence of the provincials and maybe for Clare this weekend, or like Galway are big favourites on Sunday, but with the rules, we're seeing a lot of games. We're a lot tighter. It's very hard to just run away from teams in these games. But Dublin, I don't think it was complacency last week. It was literally just a fucking awful performance. So
It's that full back line, Paddy. I've been saying
finally,
I've been saying it for 10 years. That full back line is
got
there
there
for
in the
taking.
end. You got there
It was
in the
finally
end.
taken.
Yeah.
Well, look, it was the end of a great Dublin run, 14 Leinster titles in a row. But it got me thinking, what was the last time Dublin put a run together in Leinster? And it was July 2009. Have a look at this. This is before they've won an All-Ireland, by the way.
Whoa, class.
What was that, Paddy? 5 fingers for what? 5 Leinster titles in a row?
5 O'Byrne Cups in a row, I think.
Yeah, notice.
Look at Clucko's ready to
Hang on.
literally take
Is
the head
that
off.
PA for Paddy Andrews? He's written on his own gloves.
Just
Sponsored
in case
gloves.
we forget.
Yeah,
Everyone has the same gloves, so someone doesn't steal your gloves.
That's the pure corner.
Do you know it's a good one, actually? Ray Silk, the great Ray Silk, All-Ireland winning captain, was on. Actually, I think it was News Talk the following day reviewing that game. And he was bigging me up for that. He goes, look at the attitude of this Dublin team. The young cornerback, Paddy Andrews, even has positive attitude. Initially, I was like, fucking hell, Ray. Come on. Put 2 and 2 together there. Like.
So that was July 2009. You're top of the world. What happens next?
Yeah.
August bank holiday weekend. The start of the earwigs. This is like a minute into the game. Cluxton and Paddy. Gooch has already scored 2-2.
That's the warm-up, I think.
Yeah. So
That was literally the next match.
yeah, next
Yeah.
match.
So did we get carried away? There's been a grandstand of 5 in a row for winning the Leinster Championship.
And I
We
wouldn't
lost
mind,
by
that was the
20
Kerry. Sligo had nearly beaten Kerry the week before. And Antrim had nearly beaten Kerry the week before that.
Yeah.
We got there in the end, lads. We got there in the end.
Yeah, look, and I'm not saying that Galway are falling into the same boat of the Dubs
No,
pre-2010, but it's a team that's kind of shining through tonight. We've got 2 amazing guests coming on this evening. You're going to absolutely love them. You know one of them, Finian Hanley, a hometown hero here in Galway. Little cheer for Finian.
A boo there from over here. Jesus.
We have got a pantomime villain as well, and he is going to love filling that part. Michael Conroy of Mayo. Thought I heard a couple of boos there. He has got a remarkable and a ridiculous record in Connacht. Never started a game of Connacht football, but he's also never lost a game in Connacht football as well.
It's good, yeah.
We'll get to that later
Up
on.
to his question.
James O'Donoghue, have you ever been arrogant?
No.
Jimmy?
You're gonna make something up here now.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has you? He's throw you under the
There's
bus.
no, never.
Let me bring you all to 2014, right? It's around Halloween, All Stars. James O'Donoghue on stage. This is a photo in a custom fitted suit. You can't really see it here, right? But look, I'm not giving him any grief for this. That Dickie bow is dark green. It's for Kerry, right? Unreal.
Legion.
The Legion. Sorry. But this man is top of the world. He's after winning his All-Ireland medal. He's already got an All-Star in his back pocket. He's about to pick up another. He's about to be crowned Footballer of the Year. He's been nominated for RTE Sports Person of the Year alongside Johnny Sexton, Niamh Briggs, Breach Porphyry, Rory McIlroy, who wins it. You were unlucky not to win it. So
I think I'm
Tipped
second.
you. Just
second.
tipped you that year, like.
Couple of votes here and there.
2 majors, like. Yeah.
So that's 2014. I can understand, right? But 2013, nobody really knew who you were until you scored a couple of goals and scored a couple of penalties, right? So this is the bit I don't understand.
Couple of penalties.
I've dug out a bit of footage.
1 penalty.
The next voice you're going to hear is a Galway great. It's Michael Lester at the 2013 All-Star Awards. And just keep an eye on James O'Donoghue's antics as he's called up. It's a very competitive forward line. Paddy, you were very unlucky. You missed
He
that.
robbed my All-Star, actually.
Yeah, so let's just have a look at this and just keep an eye on this one now. We need the sound. This is
At right corner forward, the All-Star Trophy for this year will be presented to James O'Donoghue of Kerry.
Right from the beginning of the year, as Kerry rebuilt, James was a consistently exciting score getter. Almost as much
Give us that one more time, please.
The 3 young ones are disgusted as well. Like, yeah.
You can actually see Paul Conroy over his shoulder too. Just roll it again.
That's 12 years.
Just in case anyone missed it that time.
No, we've seen it. We've seen it.
No, we don't need the sound. We don't need the sound this time.
That's your nominees. So then, at right corner forward.
This is it. Wait for it now.
Class.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, right?
Hang on.
I thought.
You don't know this, but I was winking at Paddy Andrews because I got the All-Star instead of him. And if you actually zoom in, you can see Paddy down like this after.
Amazing. Hey.
Because they were arranged on the night.
That was a good night.
That was a good
That was a good night.
Oh yeah.
That was a good night.
Have you
Good
stories?
No. Maybe later.
It was a pretty stacked All-Star team that year, and I'm going to play this a little bit in a second. I want to keep an eye on this just to show you just how confident James was in himself.
Jesus
back
Christ,
in
Tommy.
2013. But like, Jared Canning is doing a voiceover. We can roll this now. Jared Canning is doing a voiceover saying, "Young James O'Donoghue scored 2-3 passes to Dubs." As he says it, look at this. All right, Steve. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Top class.
He felt that as well. He felt that. He's like, you.
I didn't have to look too hard to find stuff on Paddy and James, and I actually had a lot more on Paddy, but I said I'd go easy on him tonight. I did do a lot of digging though on Finian Hanley. I rang around, I Googled, I got onto ChatGTP, I tried everything, and I couldn't really dig up anything. Well, that's the thing, and I'm going to get to that now, and that little voice from the crowd distracted me, so I've kind of forgotten my script here a little bit.
You put him off. Teleprompter.
Finian Hanley, right? What a guy. A leader, a captain. This fella did not mess about. You know, even before Connacht finals, he didn't even have a laugh. There's a wee photo here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's shocking. That is shocking.
The coat of envy there as well.
Oh,
That
man.
is shocking.
That is awful.
Now, Andy Moran is not here to defend himself. But
That is terrible.
Why are they like that?
I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. But
The
like,
head on Moran, like. Jeez.
we say the GA has a PR problem. We might just have to move away from these photo shoots and stuff, but usually they're brilliant. But as I said, Finian was part of this Galway team that had a lot of promise. They won another 21 All-Ireland. Do you remember them, the deadly
05,
duo?
yeah.
Meehan scoring 3-2 and Sean
Armstrong.
Armstrong 3-1
both got a hat-trick, wasn't it?
in the final, yeah.
Yeah,
And we had Michael Meehan at our roadshow a couple of years ago in Kilmacoe Crokes, and
Yeah,
we were
hat-trick.
talking about that. They just kept falling short, but it wasn't really like Mayo. At least Mayo lost All-Ireland finals. Finian Hanley never lost a game in Crow, or never won a game in Crow Park with Galway. Like, I couldn't find anything of this man
Didn't
being
win
cocky.
any game in Crow Park.
They never won a game in Crow Park. We'll get to that. Thank you. Thank God Finian could call in his country, because in fairness, the man served Ireland on 5 different tours. Now, I'm not talking about the Lebanon or going abroad, but the army. He actually played international rules for Ireland 5 times. An incredible achievement.
Jeez.
And with the international rules coming back this year, we might have a word on that. And he also won an All-Ireland with his club, Salthill
Man
Knocknacarra,
of the match.
2005, 2006. An
Man of the
unbelievable
match,
achievement.
final, yeah.
The
The
best
worst,
goals.
one of the worst games of football ever played.
That's the thing.
6-5. 6-5, Jimmy.
7-6.
Which one? The All-Ireland final?
7-6. The match
7-6,
finished.
so-
7-6. Like.
But we have an image from that game. There's an unbelievable catch here, Finian. But what a fullback and soldiered so long for Galway. And we'll talk a little bit about how they just fell short at the same stage all the time. Quarterfinal stage kind of caught them. But Michael Conroy, you're going to hear from Michael now in a couple of minutes. Michael's story is something else. It really is. He kind of had 3 acts to his career. He had the breakthrough,
Like Shakespeare, yeah.
where he makes his debut in an All-Ireland final. He comes off the bench against Kerry and scores 1-1.
Debut in the final?
His debut, I think.
Jesus.
I could be wrong on that. But he scores 1-1 anyway in an All-Ireland final. Now, I was told by a lot of Mayo fellas, and we'll clarify this later on, I went digging, that he went to the hairdressers in between his senior final and his under-21 All-Ireland final. But I couldn't find the footage, so we'll wait for him to clarify it. So I was struggling then. Was there ever another indicator of Michael Conroy getting ahead of himself and being arrogant or being a little bit too cocky? And then it tweaked with me. 2016. Mayo going in to face Galway, chasing 6 in a row Connacht titles. I think we have an image here. Predicting an easy win for Mayo against the Galway side who think they have a chance but don't really believe they'll win. 5-10 points for me. Hashtag easy.
Hashtag easy is nice. Yeah.
6 hours later. So I'm looking forward to getting Michael Conroy's prediction a little later on. Could you please put a big Galway welcome together for our 2 brilliant guests, Finian Hanley and Michael Conroy.
Woo!
There he is, boys.
Come on, Sean.
What's the crack?
PTSD.
Finian, go down there beside James.
Lovely.
Talk us through the morning photo shoot. Have any shots
Fucking
that
hell, I've never seen that picture. That's the worst picture I've ever seen in my life. Andy was kind of putting the shoulders up.
He was loving it, like, yeah.
Looks like you were going to the toilet. Joey.
I was on the Mayo side taking a shite, yeah.
Finian, what are the vibes in Galway?
The vibes are good, I think, at the minute, yeah. A bit too good for my liking.
Really?
Yeah.
You
It's,
deserve it, no?
Well, I suppose only 2 weeks ago we were hammered by the Dubs, we were hammered by Kerry, and a win against Roscommon in New York isn't gonna butter the parsnips, Tommy, to be honest. But
Hammered
hammered.
is harsh.
We were hammered.
What was in the Kerry again?
Oh, 10 points.
wasn't.
We were about to be in the league final. Kerry won by 10 points, and then they were in the league final, and they were nearly relegated.
Lad,
so,
he's been
yeah.
talking to Joyce. He's reading off a script there. Fuck's it. You can be yourself, Finian. Come
I'm
on.
trying to get the bookies to come back a little bit. It's a bit too much.
The money's on, don't worry, the money's on.
It's a bit. You'll never see. It's a long time since we saw such a one-sided discussion and a one-sided. The bookies are one-sided as well. Like 1-5 at one stage, I think Mayo were, which is crazy. I remember 2006. We had lost the league final to Kerry. We cruised through Connacht, went off on a training holiday, came back. It was similar kind of talk that Galway were going to hammer Mayo. Went down to Castlebar, we lost by a point in the end. I get that a little. I'm not saying we're going to lose on Sunday, but without the two boys in the panel and
What's wrong with Comer?
I haven't a fucking clue what's wrong with Comer, to be honest.
James, that was in the green room. We're not supposed to talk about it.
Can I not sit
Never
down
ask a
first
direct
and
question.
ask
What
me
about
then?
that WhatsApp rumour you confirmed earlier?
No, Damo's, just saw the panel, it doesn't look good. No, I think you can make a couple of changes to the match day panel.
Yeah.
So
if there's a standby player,
there's a bit of talk on that, but I don't think, look, if they're not playing,
He could be resting fellas for that Mayo game. It's so one-sided.
there's no way.
Putting out the under 20s.
Yeah, unless something changed since the draw happened during the week, which I think is crazy that they had the draw during the week, particularly a Galway-Mayo match on Sunday, which is still the old firm. It's still the tight game. Like, it was one of the best games ever last year. It was one of the best games I was ever at, obviously because Galway won, but it was a magical game.
But it was tense.
It was tense, and how it ended, and the freeze, and just everyone was on the edge of their seat. No one was getting up. It was brilliant. So, look, you would hope for the same on Sunday with a Galway win, but I think it's going to be a lot tighter than 1-5.
Michael or Mickey, what should I go with here? Or is it Mickey C?
I've been called a lot of things now, so yeah, you can go with anything you want.
I've been told, I got a couple of DMs off a buddy of yours, I won't throw him under the bus here, and he said, ask him why he's called Mickey C. I presume it's, I don't know.
I have a guess.
Well, my second name is Conroy, but so it's a straightforward one. But look, there's a few stories going around. Obviously, C could be anything, and you know yourself. But I didn't play in Connacht,
Was that harsh? I didn't mean to put you on the back foot.
Not at all. Nothing's harsh here, Tommy. We're in the entertainment business tonight. There's no problem. Yeah, but so I didn't play, but I think we're at some training up the country one time, and the lads were shouting Mickey C or Mickey C, and there was Americans over or whatever, and they were saying, why they call him Mickey? Is it Mickey C? They didn't know my name, you know what I mean? Which is, I don't know how they didn't know me, but fuck's sake, do you know what I mean? But they're only from Boston or somewhere, whatever. But the boys, Mickey Connacht, and I within a second, you know what I mean? One of these one-liners, not at all. Mickey Croker. I said, I've no interest in playing in Connacht. Now I had loads of interest in playing in Connacht, but it just didn't happen for me.
But you have a pretty decent record in Croke Park.
Fantastic. Fantastic. In fact, great. Yeah.
Plenty of football. How did your Mayo career start? Because it's 04. Well, I think I said you made your debut in the All-Ireland final, but I'm wrong with that, am I?
Oh, no, that's right, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, 04.
The 04 season, Mahon's in charge.
Yeah, playing Kerry, came on at half-time, really tight game. Game was in the balance.
You're marking Mark O'Shea, or he's marking you?
Well, they were marking me. They were shipping them around, Tommy. There was 2 or 3. I was getting rid of them to beat the band. I was asking who's next. But the game is tight. The game is really tight. We need someone to go in and see could we do something, you know what I mean? So I was really trying to get it down the stretch. Slipped away from us in the end. I think we lost by about 20, but that was the start, yeah. That was the start, yeah. But I know I came on. I was in college up in Galway, and
Oh, you were in Galway?
I was in college in Galway.
Good town.
Well
town.
known in Galway as
Yeah.
well, by all accounts. Yeah.
Very active on the scene. Very active on the.
Barred out of about 8 pubs, I think. That was the story. Yeah.
Very active on the club scene, Tommy. Not the GA.
I like
the
it.
GA, yeah. But yeah, and it was like January, February, or whatever, and I was actually. Well, I'll tell you how it happened first, right? So it was 18, I was 19 in the January, and finished the Leaving Cert. And you know yourself, when you finish the Leaving Cert, you don't want to do. I'm 40 and I still don't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how they expect me to make my decision at 18, right? So that was grand. So I actually wanted to be a psychiatric nurse in Sligo and got it. Or I actually wanted to be in Galway, but ended up getting it in Sligo.
Okay.
But all the lads were going to Galway.
Right.
So I had to go to Galway.
Right.
So personally, I didn't see it was an issue. My dad thought it was a bit of an issue, and he went to Galway, done health and safety systems.
And are you still working in health and safety systems now?
Didn't work out for me, Tommy. The questions didn't suit me, Tommy. Did you ever hear that one? The questions didn't suit me, right? So I was gone by, we'll say, Jesus, November, December, the show was over. Now, obviously nobody knew that, you know what I mean?
All
But
right.
I kept it going. I was playing first year football. And so yeah, that January, February, and I was training fairly hard, and I played a couple of good club games, kind of like pre-season competitions. And
You're a full-time footballer at this stage, right?
full time, yeah.
Class.
And yeah, it was good, yeah, it was handy. And like you boys, and
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
yeah, you know, yeah.
It works out.
Yeah, it works out. It's good. It's a nice lifestyle. But yeah, so that was it. So I got a call into the under-21s. Literally within 2 or 3 weeks, it all happened. And then we played an A versus B game, so an under-21 versus seniors game.
What's this, March?
In 04, this is March, April,
Okay.
and the seniors were going to New York the week later.
Oh, right.
So we played them on the Sunday, and I was marking Dermot Geraghty, and what I felt went fairly well. So we're doing the warm-up.
I've actually read a quote in this before. I roasted Geraghty.
Well, I was trying to be nice. You're absolutely right. Took him out, and you know, so he started the following week, and I'm after taking him out, and I'm like, you know, so. But also at the same time, inter-county football, you know, your mind is working the whole time, and you're thinking, geez, I could be dropped on any stage, but I could be going here on any stage. And John Mahan called me aside doing the warm down, and I'm thinking, he's going to drop me from the under-21s. Like, I was just thinking on the 21s, and he says, what are you doing for the next 10 days, 10 or 12 days? Have you any exams? Funny enough, I hadn't. Right? Jesus, I says, I'm actually free, John. Mine aren't starting for 2 weeks. Why? We're going to New York on Thursday. Will you come? Oh, sure, I'll go. Like, you know, fuck it. I'll go. But they weren't for 10 days. So I went over to New York on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Went out to the Catskills for a training camp for 5 or 6 days. Brilliant 10 days. And missed the exams. And that was the reason I failed college. Nothing to do with anything else.
Blame Mahan.
John Mahan's fault.
Yeah.
Great time.
We'll come back to the early years, because I mentioned there's 3 acts to your Mayo career. Finian, I kind of stumbled my way through your intro a little earlier on when you were off stage. There was a lot of talk about that 05 Galway under-21 team. There was an 02 team as well that I think Michael Meehan was on as well that had won. There was a minor team that Paul Conroy plays on that wins in All-Ireland. But you kind of, it's probably not unfair to say that there's lost years there for Galway football in your career, unfortunately. 05, you win a couple of Connacht titles.
Maybe it was our fault.
But that's what I'm asking you. What happened?
100%.
Because the footballers are there, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Or they're not? What happened?
We had a few dodgy ones. Mike Meehan wasn't fucking pulling up any fucking routes either. Like, and even though he's going on every program talking about how things were great back then, they weren't. He always sees the best side in things. There was a lot. There was that great team. But if you think about it, All-Ireland final, Mike Meehan scores 3 goals. Sean Armstrong scores 3 goals. 6 goals, 4 goals. It wasn't, we weren't brilliant. It wasn't a brilliant team. The 02 team was a lot better. But I suppose around that time, you still had, when we came into the panel, John O'Mahony was kind of leaving. I came in 04 under John O. He told me that it would stand to me mentally in the future not playing me. Thought that was a really nice thing, and I still slagged him up to a couple of years ago about it. And it didn't stand to me at all, Jono, to be honest. He brought us in 04. Gary Fahey was still there, Ja was still there, Sean Og was still there. All that team in 01 were still looking for another one, right? But they were too old. They were way too old. They were coming to the end. And with 2 under-21s, we thought, right, stars are aligning here. This is going to be fucking brilliant. We're gonna go after this for a while, and we're gonna bring people in. Never materialised for whatever reason. I think those boys kind of fell away, and then there was transition. Then Jono left, and a lot of players left with him. Kevin Walsh, big characters that had won 2 All-Irelands, played in 4 All-Ireland finals, all that sort of stuff. And then you kind of moved into transition, and a couple of years later, we played in 6 Connacht finals in a row. Won 3, lost 3 by a point in injury time. Fucking Donlan hits post, Ja hits the post. Lads who you put your fucking life on, and they're still talking about it to this day. Remember, I missed that fucking score that could have got whatever. So yeah, a couple of near misses, but look, Galway were in transition as well.
It's a long transition.
It was a long transition, and one of the big issues in Galway is, and obviously there's a lot of people here tonight, we built so much on 98, because 98 was our fucking lives growing up. It was just... It was everything to us, because 32 years it took us to win All Ireland, and they were our fucking heroes. Then we were in playing with them, and the supporters thought that the football we played, Michael Donlan got the ball a corner back in an All Ireland final, ran the whole pitch. Now, up to last year, can you imagine that happening? Yeah. Never, fucking never. So the game started to change, but Galway didn't change. Galway went, if we started playing a bit defensive, this, that, and the other, like Kevin Walsh was managing, and eventually got ran out of Galway for playing defensive football. So traditionalism was the way, and it was always going to be the way, and it took us a long time to change.
They needed
what
your
about-
Salt
sorry,
Hill
Tommy.
tactics from 06, was it? 7-6 in that final?
Say again?
The Salt Hill tactics in 06? 7-6?
Fuck you,
Well,
Paddy's
that was
right. That was the
more-
worst game of football ever played.
Probably more goals though than you guys.
No. It had
You were as
nothing-
bad, like.
It had nothing to do with defensive football. It was a shite day. It was minus 30 degrees. It was the worst game of football ever. But you know what? It wasn't a bad. We won. It was great crack.
Yeah.
We won on a Friday. Gold Cup was on. In the dressing room after. It was fucking carnage in there. There was
Dream scenario.
Dutch Gold and Linden Village going across. There was betting slips. It was fucking mayhem. Down on the Saturday, England win the Triple Crown, or Ireland win the Triple Crown. Sunday there was a league game on that we had to turn up to.
Oh, yeah?
Against Meath in Pierce Stadium. Oh, rattled out of our trees. White pants, dressed like we were in the Ryder Cup. Red wine everywhere and everything. It was fucking carnage. But it was a crazy weekend, and we barely won a championship since.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're obviously Salt Hill Knocknacarra manager. now,
We're
so best
still
of luck.
fucking celebrating.
We'll come back to that. Mickey C, we're talking about a lot of near misses tonight, right? We're going to be talking about some of the good days as well, but I'm cognizant that we're sitting here with a bloody Dub and a Kerry man who've won 50% of all the All-Irelands ever
Can I just
won.
say about Paddy?
It's not all about winning, though.
Can I just say something about?
Go for it, yeah.
He's some set of pipes in him. He's some man to talk.
Oh, yeah?
I was just thinking on the way up now, Paddy. Like between off the ball, Ireland AM, I see you, and Ireland AM.
Class.
GA plus.
Yeah.
There's only one thing for this. Whoever negotiates your contract, you're getting paid by the word. He has to be. Am I right in that?
We need to bring you on board.
Huh?
Bring you on board, like.
It cost him a few pounds because I can talk myself.
He's quiet enough since he got out of the maternity ward last week. Now
Yeah.
he hasn't said much.
It's been a long week, lads. Jesus Christ, like.
No, we're delighted to have you. And thanks to Doreen and the wee lassie for letting you away this evening.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
it's great. She's 7 days old now, so she's about similar maturity to Jimmy.
Yeah.
Which is good, so yeah. I'm good, lad. We've been talking about coming to Galway for a live show for 3 or 4 years, and I was like, where are we going next? And I go to fucking Galway. We have great crack down there. And the one night we get there, I used to be back down the road in about 10 minutes. So the lads are all going on the piss afterwards. So,
Well, you
I'm
were
gutted.
We're disappointed not to have you, because the last time Paddy was out with us was the night we had the Cliffords in Killarney.
Yes.
And
a good
we
night.
interviewed the boys. We went on the beer after, so we went for a few pints. And everyone was being, as Killarney is the most welcoming town in the country.
yeah.
Everyone was being dead nice to Paddy. They were on about the Dubs and Paddy, and Paddy was loving. He was like, they love me down here. They love me down there. And I was like, Paddy, just keep it between the ditches here now, because Killarney at 2 o'clock in the day is very different to 2 o'clock in the morning. Don't mind that, Jimmy, don't mind that, don't mind that. So we were going into the Tatler Jack, some of you might know it in Killarney.
Wild West.
At 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was just talking to someone outside, and Paddy gives me one last, "They love me down here, Jimmy," as he's going in the door. So I turn around talking to my friend. 30 seconds later, Paddy is being carted out by the scruff of the neck by the bouncer. Glasses tipped to this side, bloody lip. He hit me for no reason. He hit me, I don't know why. He hit me for no reason.
Paddy, you were getting paid by the word down there too.
So we'll miss you tonight, Paddy.
Football's not all about winning, though.
Be all right.
It's about the people you spend the time with, because if it was all about winning and only one team's winning at the end, how could people put in all the effort that it takes? There's more to it than that.
Oh yeah, look at I
had to think about that. All right.
I didn't know who he was talking to.
Wasn't fucking talking to me, like.
Yeah, I know. No.
How did you keep coming back at Mayo?
Oh,
Because it was knock after knock.
No, it was simple. It was simple. We had a great group, and we had a good few characters, and you know, we had good fun. Of course, we were trying to win the ultimate goal, and we were very high performance, set up, really professional, with the best of the best. But we had great crack. Do you know what I mean? Like I was saying to a buddy of mine earlier on in the week when I was telling him I'm going up here, it was like nearly being part of a stag group for like 8 years, right? Because no, let me explain now for a second. Let me explain, right? So, you know,
Maybe that's why you didn't win in the end.
that's why we were really professional. I said that first, right? But you know, you get added to a stag group and you're coming in, "Oh, your man's getting married, geez, that'd be great crack." And then you go into the characters that are in it. "Oh, this is brilliant. Fantastic, it's on in 3 weeks." You go and ask mommy for permission. Like, "Can I go?" "Yeah, no bother." Into the diary, flights booked, the whole lot, right? Then there's a few messages going in and the crack is going, the whole lot. And next thing you land to the airport and more fun and the stag goes on and the whole lot. We went on for 8 years. The stag group was on the whole time. Do you know what I mean? It was just fun. It was always fun. It was always, we were going away, we training camps. We were in New York a few times, London. And it was just, like we were going down training. Training could be at 7 o'clock. Say it was a 7 o'clock training session. We're arriving there at 5 or about 5:30 or whatever it is. Not leaving until 8 or 9. Do you know, like going training up in Athlone and stuff like that, you have 2 or 3 hours in the car. And just fun, just constant fun. And we got on well. We always got on well. And that's why it was simple for us to come back. It wasn't a case of, "Oh, geez, will you go again next year?" And then I suppose I came in at the back end of 11 and 12 All-Ireland final, 13 All-Ireland final, 14 semi-final, 15 semi. You know what I mean? It kept...
Was it not more serious then? Because like I can picture the characters you're on about in that first team you break into. You know, you've Brady, you've Mortimer.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're characters.
Mort. All right, man. Serious. Mort was a character. I mean, Mort, you know, Mort wouldn't tug out if he wasn't sure he had enough peroxide in the hair. Honest to God, like, is that white enough there? Serious, you know, but great character. Mort was magic. Brilliant fun, just constant. You sit beside him and it's just he'd take off. And he doesn't, not saying anything. It's just the way he said stuff and he was funny and he was just lively. He was very good.
Did you have good crack in Galway?
Yeah.
Awkward pause there.
We had a lot of crack in Galway, to be fair, yeah. Just on Mort, and we played the Railway Cup final. We used to travel for the Railway Cup final. So we played in Boston in 2006 against Leinster. And the night out, whatever it is, Mort and David Brady fucking front and centre after the All-Ireland final and everything. Crack was good. So we're in Faneuil Hall, 3 o'clock in the morning. We all arrived down, look for the late beers. There's fucking cops everywhere. Now there's sirens going off and everything, so everyone's getting up to the front. So you say, Mort up on Brady's back. Brady's in handcuffs. They're trying to get him into the paddy wagon or whatever it is, and Mort's shouting, "Free the Rossport 5 man!" Do you remember the oil rig? I was fucking
Serious.
I swear to God, he was wearing a pink T-shirt and a pair of shorts in the nightclub and everything, and he was, as you say, fucking peroxide everywhere, shouting, "Free the Rossport 5." They're like, "Get in the car, sir!"
Oh, brilliant.
Lunatic. Galway was similar. There was a lot of characters.
Too many.
Yeah, there was a lot of characters. But I just think that like it's not as off the cuff as it used to be. I made my championship debut in 2005, right?
It's against Mayo, right?
Against Mayo in Pierce Stadium, the hot day with the air show and all that crack. Fucking big crowd, 10-8 shite game as well. But
Jesus, Finian.
But yeah, a lot of loss, a lot
Jimmy's
of shite
line
games.
to say 2 shite teams.
Yeah, she's right. But the year before, I was in the panel, and that winter broke my hand, was out. Then we then got back, but ended up in the under-21 panel. We won the All-Ireland, kind of getting in and out. We were meant to go to New York. There was a mumps epidemic in the panel. I didn't get brought, a few others didn't get brought for that. Then didn't get brought back into training for the Leitrim game in the semi-final, Pierce Stadium, Leitrim at home. So I wasn't involved in the match day, so I worked in the bar. So I'm working in the bar while the match is going on. And I'm outside the bar is in the Oris in Salt Hill, where you can come out onto the pitch. I'm out picking up bottles, not even watching the game. I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I want to get out of there.
Is this when Jono said it'd be good for your character?
No, this was after Jono was gone at that stage. So I'm out picking up bottles or whatever it is, not a bother. Fucking couple of high balls in. Declan Maxwell was full forward for Leitrim, and Fitzy, Decky, Meehan, and someone else were full back. Full back line were under a bit of pressure. So I didn't give a shite. Like I was like, I'm not going to get back in this panel or whatever. Won by 2 points or 3 points, Galway won by 2 or 3 points. The following day I was heading out to Ballyguneen, phone rings, Peter Ford was the manager. How yeah, we're looking at you for the Connacht final. I was like, what? What did you think yesterday? I hadn't seen a fucking bid yesterday. I was working in the fucking bar. So 3 weeks later, starting the Connacht final full back, front of fucking 30,000.
Who'd you mark?
Thunder and Heat. I marked Trevor Mortimer that day.
Oh.
Yeah, Trevor Mortimer.
How'd that go?
Andy Moran. What have we won? It was 10-8, so it was a backstage.
Yeah, it was backstage.
So I suppose you don't have that level of that anymore. Now it's so clinical or whatever. But for the crack in Galway, like after every game, it was a night out, because the boys had come from the All-Ireland winning teams where they just went out. They were brilliant. Mikey Donnellan, Porrick Joyce, Sean Oak, and they had the cracks. When we came in, it was all fucking...
But you had 6 weeks between games as well. Like.
Yeah.
Well, there was no excuse to not go out in the bit.
100%. Even you had to. Porrick Joyce always say, everyone fucking out in the pints tonight, because we'll talk about the game, and we talked about it in Tuam or in Galway or whatever it was. And it's still the case. To be fair to PJ, it's still the case. He's still into the boys train hard. They work their fucking socks off, but they have their couple of pints.
Yeah, I knew my time with Kerry was up.
Why?
We won the Munster final. We went into Reedy's, and the order was 6 pints and 12 Americanos. I said, lads,
Not for you, Jimmy.
this is dead.
That'll do me.
This is gone.
But you know what's so funny?
You have to, you have to do the team building after as well. Have those 1 or 3 days.
We had that, but we hadn't, we're going on the beer, you know what I mean? But it's kind of one of those automatics, do you know what I mean? Everybody knows. But what's so funny, and I was thinking about it, you pack the going out bag. You get the old shopping bag, that old Landis bag. You slip in the jeans, and the old cowboy boots back then, 04. These cowboy boots.
Flares
now.
as well.
Yeah, you used to put the going out gear into the gear
Yeah,
bag.
but that's what I'm getting at. And under the towel, maybe, you swear you're going to go through security going into the game. Sure, nobody's checking. What the fuck are you hiding it for? Do you know what I mean? Next thing the game will go, you have your going out gear. Of course I have the towel up. I'm ready. I'm 087 and ready to go. Do you know the towel
Is it not the case, though, and I'd be a bit cognizant of this, that you're out of the game now, so the same way we look at the soccer pundits looking back in the 90s being great, is it as bad as it's being made out now? Do you not think they're having a bit of crack in the squads now?
The schedule's different. You can't. The games are every week. You look
Right.
this season, National League games, and at least usually April was where the league went well for you or didn't. 4 or 5 weeks before you hit the championship, you can have a bit of crack there. There is literally no time to do it anymore. But even before that, this is what the 3rd year of this schedule. You could see it just becoming more and more serious. But I always said, with our team at our best, most successful, we never had a drinking ban. We never had anything like that. Very similar to what you say with Joyce. Go out and enjoy it. Train your whole off, and then it's up to you as players. If lads were coming back from injury or weren't going well, they might take it a bit easier. But
You're not talking about Pillar Caffrey's time now here, are you?
no, complete opposite there. You'd win a training match and you'd be on it for 3 days. I remember I made my debut against Louth in the Leinster Championship back in 2008. It would have been. and we went on the beer for 4 days after. Like, you know, like it
Was that the 2 in a row or the 3 in a row Leinster
I
time?
was going for the 1 in a row, I think it was. Like. But it was, look, it was different. But
There's so much time though. You
but-
wouldn't be back training till Wednesday or Thursday.
3 or
You've
4
loads-
weeks between
loads of time.
games and stuff. So I know that this season, the split seasons get a bit of stick now. Some people don't like it. I always think as players, lads, prefer playing the games. Like I would prefer being in this environment now where you're playing a game every week. Because if you weren't, like the 3 weeks or 4 weeks between games, you were getting flogged in training.
Yeah.
It's not like you had 3 weeks off to go.
Murder.
Yeah, it'd be worse. Like so, I don't know. I'd always be, and from chatting with some of the lads that are still involved playing championship now, I think it's generally the players like it a bit more. It's tough on supporters though because there's so many fucking games. Like, and they're trying to. You were talking about Sunday. Like normally you think Galway, Mayo, and Castlebar be a sellout, massive game. Like, but there's going to be another 5 or 6 games, 7 games after this for people trying to get to them. So it's probably not perfect, but I think for players generally they probably do prefer it.
Yeah.
I think PJ is brilliant though, isn't he? He comes out and says, we're going out tonight, and you know he seems to be
Old school. Like.
yeah, like I'd say to a stage old school, but he's 6 years in. They've their routine. They probably they know what they're doing after games. And
No, he just loves a pint.
correct. I actually heard a great one about him during the week. Will I tell it?
Oh, I don't know. You don't be asking me.
Go on, yeah.
We are,
not like-
Mikey, go on.
No.
It's not like he's here, like.
It's third hand, like, but sure, it doesn't matter. And even if it's not true, it's a great one. So don't worry if it's not true. We'll say it is, right? But he was like obviously unbelievable player. I love his directness in the media as well. You know what I mean? Like, sure, they missed 2-10 between them. Like, that's class. Like,
brilliant.
You know what I mean?
double
Like,
game,
but that is like in lots of ways. Wouldn't you want that said to you? That's you missed 2-10.
It's
You know, you have
younger
these
players
managers
might,
saying,
like.
you know, did the day didn't go for you? It wasn't, you know, no, you were shite. Do you know, fair enough. I need to improve on this. Do you know what I mean? But or you take Shane Walsh off before half time. Do you hear that one? Yeah, well, he wasn't offering us much anyway. Do you know? Class, like.
Yeah.
No,
He hasn't changed a day.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed. That's the same way he's been since he was. And I've heard before my time, even when we came in, he'd come down in the middle of a match. He'd run from the full forward line. He'd jog down. Hanley, mark our fucking man, or fuck off back and get your flip flops on, and fuck off out the gate. In the middle of a match, I don't have fucking flip flops because we're from South. In the middle of a match, then he walk up. You're like, sorry, PJ.
Hey, Finian, you've teed me up now for this.
Okay.
And
Well, I didn't mean to, but that's they're the facts.
We're
Boys
not-
be like, go easy on the young lads. He'd be like, I don't give
You
a fuck.
didn't mean to, right? But speaking of that, right? So obviously he won nearly everything in the game. PJ, sure, he was.
We're not live now, so this is staying in the room, okay? If there's something dodgy here.
No, I don't care where it goes.
cameras
Doesn't
at the
bother me
back
one bit. Tell whoever you want. But so PJ won the Hogan Cup '94, I think. Very good team, loads of good players on it. Obviously that team went on to win the All-Ireland '98 and 201 or whatever. But there was a fella on it playing cornerback, and I think he played cornerback for Jarlath as well. And one of my friends, that's why he's coming third hand. I'll just say it was me that met him. But it wasn't me; it was somebody else. So he meets him and he goes, "Did you play in that team, the Hogan Cup team in '94?" Yeah, I was on that team. Yeah, and with PJ. Yeah. What was it like? Oh, PJ. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you a good one actually. We were playing Mayo and Michael Park in '94 in the All Ireland Minor final, and we were a point down late on into the game, and the seniors were coming in. The crowd was filling up. You know the way the squeeze comes on the town halls, and things get a little bit tighter. So the ball went out for the sideline anyway, and he gets the ball and has a look up the pitch, and you said, geez, he couldn't see anyone, couldn't see much movement or whatever like that. Bang, outside of the right, into the stand. The whole stand, yeah, you know, one of those, yay! And you're like, oh, fuck's sake. PJ runs the length of the pitch to the buck, playing cornerback. What the fuck we at? He goes, fuck, he says there was no one moving, right? PJ didn't miss a breath, and he goes, was there someone moving in the stand? He didn't miss a beat. Someone moving in the stand. Shut him up.
But the best teams, like that team in '98, and I'm sure Paddy's team and James' team the same, how they talk to each other. I know more about the Kerry boys, how they used to talk to each other. They did not care about each other. But Donlan and Joyce were in college together, and they were two of the greatest footballers of all time. but like the honesty was off the charts. We were playing a match one day, a league match one day, and PJ would come out and he'd be giving up because PJ, kick it in, kick it in, kick it in. And Donald would be like, I'm kicking the fucking thing in. And they'd be arguing, like, fucking Donald won't kick the fucking ball in. Donald would be hearing it and they'd be shouting or whatever. So Donald gets the ball to me. Hanley, give me the ball. Hand passing the ball. Lords it up into the sky. Catch that, you Am I allowed to say that? Sorry.
But it's brilliant, isn't it?
And he roaring at him inside, and PJ going, you fucking use it, and then drops the ball now, and he's fucking trying like. But the honesty was off the charts. I know I can't say that, but sorry.
All right, we're not live with Nixon. Don't worry.
It's out there.
We're trying to get. You said true stories here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Class.
Oh yeah, he was a character though. He still is a character.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah.
And you need them, you know, the one-liner drops. The one-line drops are brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, characters are important. I mentioned a couple of acts to your career. Why was there 3 acts to your career? The breakthrough.
Yeah. What was the next one? Sister
I
act.
don't know what to call it. The hiatus where you like disappear from the face of the earth.
Sabbatical.
Yeah,
And then
but
you come back
you
as
see
a.
that one about Tommy Fury recently. He's going to find himself. He's
No.
working on himself.
No.
With Molly May. I was working on myself.
I thought they broke up, no?
Yeah, but they're back together. He was working on himself. What does that mean? Like?
Is that what you did?
Not really, to be honest. I'll tell you what happened, right? So in 2004, I was in, that was grand, All-Ireland final, came on, remember I was telling you earlier on, it was tight. Level at half-time. Level at half-time. It was a level. And 2005, then I played the winter 2005, kind of got injured, and just, like, I just said I'd go to America for the summer, like, stupid. Just so stupid. Like, I was only 20. I should have, you know, waited around. But, you know, when you're young like that, it was silly. But went to America. Boston.
Flights.
Buddy of mine over there was out there. Oh, flights, accommodation, yeah. Oh, this was.
Did you get a bit of cash?
Oh, yeah.
You were superstar then.
Well, I was hardly going, Tommy, for the good of my health, was I? Do you know what I mean? No more than Paddy getting paid by the word. I was going out there, shing, right? But yeah, no, out and flights, accommodation, and I could just picture this penthouse apartment downtown Boston, looking out over the city, and driving into Canton in my there'd be me a Range Rover or something like that, whatever it was. You know, I ended up in what can only be described as the slums in Bangladesh
It couldn't have been that bad.
It was worse than it. You're right. It couldn't be. You're right. It was worse. This apartment down, I don't know where it was, and mattress just off the ground and rats around the place.
Oh,
Holy Mary, Mother of God. But anyway, I came home. But a great time out there.
That's 05.
05.
But you don't, like, 06, 07, you're in around Mayo, but 08, 09, 10, you're not.
So I was let go. Is it,
Why?
Jono said it was mentally good for you in the future.
I did 5 years. Because he had robbed my line, but I wasn't mentally ready to be there. You know what I mean? But that's what Jono told me. But yeah, no, Jono let me go in 07. And to be honest, in lots of ways, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened.
Really?
Yeah, because I was a bit silly and a bit immature. But I've copped on completely. I'm not like that at all anymore. So that was it. So 07, played a bit of club. 08, I went out to Australia, did a year in Australia. 09, 10. James Horn invited me back in the winter 010 for a trial. It went down, but I was.
You won a club, Connacht, didn't you? With
that was in 11. So
okay.
I went down for a trial in 10, and I kind of wanted to get back in. Of course, you always want to play for Mayo, and I wanted to get back in, but I was probably carrying a bit of extra winter weight from
4 years away.
From 2000. And I had to shift that before I got back in. So I got back in the winter of 11, and then went 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then Stephen Rochford thought, what's the line?
You were mentally not able for it.
Mentally I wasn't able for it.
Rachi told you that,
Rachi told me I wasn't mentally able for it. I actually wanted to leave, and I was.
Did you agree?
Well, to be honest, before I left, I wanted to go 6 weeks previous because I was. This is a fact. I was going in for rehab for about an hour and 3/4 on my Achilles and my shoulder. And like when you're doing that, And I got back, but I wasn't the same. I wasn't near the player I was. And at that stage, while you're enjoying it in the stag group and the whole lot, when you're not enjoying it, you got to go.
And you're,
You got to get out. Do you know what I mean? It's not enjoyable when you're doing stuff like that. So
Did you do trial matches like every year?
No, but
get back in?
no. James, it was his first year, so I think they were beaten by Longford, was it in 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, Longford in 10. So he was looking for new players, new blood, and the trial didn't go really well for me.
but you got back in the year after.
Yeah, he did say, in fairness, he was very good the way he handled it, like, because it was actually something I was thinking, do you know what, that was handled really, really well, because it actually gave me the fire to go, I need to train hard here now, because I have a chance. He didn't leave it going, you're not good enough, whatever like that. He said, listen, we keep an eye on you, that sort of way. And I got back in then the winter of 11 and then had a couple of great years.
You had a great year with the club, obviously. You had that unbelievable year with the club as well, Finian, in 05-06. Paddy, you had a great year with Bridges. You were dropped by Gilroy after that photo of holding the 5 fingers up, didn't you?
Gilroy was the manager.
But you needed that, didn't you?
That's the exact same as Mikey said, yeah. It was fucking insane, like. So I needed to be, we were talking at the start of the show, like, we brought back down to earth, like, so. Different players at different ages, mature. Some guys, you see some of the younger players coming in, like Clifford's the obvious example. All the pressure, superstar from underage, and he's gone on and delivered it. That's actually quite rare. You see so many players, the 20 finals were on this week, standout minor players, under 20 players, and it just doesn't happen for them. Some guys never get to it, some guys it takes 2 or 3 years. I think that's most common, and that was definitely the start of my career. Pat Gilroy gave me the exact same conversation. Go away, you're not ready for this, and fucking 3 months later Dublin won the All-Ireland for the first time in 16 years, so that was hard, like, but that's just part of growing up. Of course, you'd rather learn those lessons without the heartbreak in between and just mature enough to deal with it.
It's funny as well, because you could tell someone, but
no, you
it's
have
not
to
the
do it
same
yourself,
thing. You
don't
have to
you?
go through it. You
Figure
know,
it out.
I'd love to tell someone, a young fella, listen, it's not the end of the world if you go 20, 21, 22. But he's not listening. And in fairness, I wouldn't have listened probably back then myself. But if he's mature enough to go away, do his weights and do his gym work and do his training, get back with his club, he can come again. There's no doubt about it.
James, I was slagging you a little bit earlier about, backing yourself and being supremely confident and a little bit arrogant and,
Is there a compliment in here somewhere? Or is there gonna
But you had earned your way into an unbelievable Kerry setup. Like,
Yeah.
there's a forward line there with Declan, Darren, Gooch, Donaghy, Donica Walsh, Brian Sheehan's there. Like, and yourself and Gainey are coming through similar times.
Myself, Paul Gainey, and
you never really
Jonathan Lyne. Do you remember Lino who got those 2 great points against you in
14?
I remember, yeah.
You had brought that game to extra time, didn't you?
This fella slipped over the grass and won a penalty. It's a disgrace.
On Higgins.
Hang on.
Oh,
Fuck's
It was
sake.
one of the worst tackles
He slipped over the grass.
in championship history.
How tough the grass come up and... As Mort said,
It was that spongy
juked it in.
grass.
You know that one? I got juked in it.
No, we came through together all right, and I actually had a couple of chances to go to the States. Actually, my physio in Kerry said, James, you can't go to the States because when you come back, you'll be too fat. So I was unsure of it anyway, but myself and Jonathan Lyne got called into the Kerry panel around the same time. So we were just maybe for the 3 weeks before championship brought in, before the Munster Championship. In 2010, the year the Cork beat Down.
Yes.
Down beat Kerry in the quarterfinal. So we were brought in just a couple of weeks before the Munster Championship, just to make up the numbers, we thought. But what we didn't know was that the panels had gone from 24 to 30. So you actually had a chance of making the panel. We didn't know any of this. But we'd booked to go to Boston, down to the slums of Bangladesh.
Surely 2 young Kerry footballers you were approached.
Yeah, we probably were. Probably after playing for 21. So we said we'd go. So myself, Jonathan Lyne, and another fella called Jamie Sullivan booked to go. And Jamie was a pure shy type. He didn't want to go on his own, which is fair enough. Like, he didn't want to be the one to go. But we were in the Kerry panel, so we said, Jamie, you go on a way over, and we'll follow you when we're finished here, right? After a couple of weeks training.
He's still
Because
over there now.
But we were in with, like, that Gooch, Declan, Galvin, Donaghy in their pomp after beating the Dubs in 09. So, like, we want to stay around for that. So we stayed for a couple of weeks. So Jamie went over, and he's ringing us going, lads, you are going to come over now, aren't you? I said, Jamie, I wouldn't miss this for the world. I promise you. You are like a brother to me. We are coming. So he's like, right. And then the Thursday night before the Munster Championship, the panel was announced, and myself and Lino went home, And the way we found out the panel was on Kerry GA website. No one even told us the panel. So Lino's on the computer, and he's there, he's looking at it, he's seeing who's on it or whatever, because he knows that we're not going to be on it. And Jamie's ringing again. Are you coming over, lads? I said, Jamie, will you relax?
We're at the airport.
I would die before I would miss this trip. So he's on the phone, and next thing Lino was like, yeah, we're number 29, number 30 on the panel, James. And I'm like, Jamie, it's out of my hands. We can't come. Never saw him again. I don't know where he is. No, but so like we stayed around for those couple of weeks. Ended up lasting the year on the panel and kind of sticking it out. But you need that break. The fact it went from 24 to 30. I swear to God, we were like two idiots on the panel. The first day we went in was Sunday morning. Training was at 11, so we rocked up at 11. Right? Jack O'Connor was the manager, and he goes, lads, where were you? And we said, Mass. He said, all right, so I was fine, on you go. It was comical. Didn't have a clue.
We're going to take a break in a couple of minutes. Not yet, just hold on. We're going to let you grab a couple of drinks, and we'll take about 15 minutes, and we'll come back, and we'll actually talk about the match this weekend, because it's a really interesting game. But Finian, John O'Mahony is somebody who has had such an influence over football in Connacht, in Mayo and Galway. We obviously very sadly lost them last year. I find it amazing looking at the photos of yourself and Sean Armstrong as his assistant managers towards the, like, was it 2023?
22, 23, yeah.
Like, that's, what a privilege that was, but like, a huge loss to everybody, Jono, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. As I said, I know you were slagging earlier, but like, Jono was a great man for a joke and a bit of crack, and we did actually have the crack about him bringing me in and not giving me a game and all that sort of stuff. Even 2 weeks before he died, we were chatting, an hour on the phone. He was in the hospital, but we were chatting about that. But he was infectious character, Jono. He was so serious when it came to football. He absolutely loved it. He had a great grow for Galway. He was frustrated with Mayo, would I say? A little bit frustrated with his time there. 89, 90, didn't finish. And he'd always talk about it, didn't finish the way he wanted with county boards and stuff like that. It wasn't always. And he spoke publicly about it. And then obviously he came to.
No, keep going.
Then he came to Galway in '98, and obviously all bets were off. Won the All Ireland, produced that brilliant football team or whatever. But even coming back to the club, when he rang me in late 21, and he said, "How are you? I'm thinking of taking the Salt Hill job. Are you going to keep playing?" I said, "No, I'm done. 20 years out the gap. I can't walk. I'm getting knee replacements, all sorts. I have no interest. I've kids at home and everything. If I go back saying I'm going playing, I'm dead." And he was like, "Any interest in coming in as selector?" No interest, John, coming in as selector. Sound. I'll see you Tuesday at 7:30 in the Oris. And whatever happened to me between the Sunday and the Tuesday, I turned up on the Tuesday, and then he was fucking, the following I was in meeting, then we were getting the sports psychologist in, the whole lot. He was into all of that. He was so far ahead of his time, Jono. And all the lads of '98 and 2001 would say the same thing. And he was really professional, but he was obsessed by the game, loved all of the players he met along the way. He could name probably every player he managed, from the Downs and Westmeath, Galway, Mayo, all over the country. He was an absolutely brilliant guy, brilliant family, really infectious. And everyone that he met, he remembered. But he'd always have a chat with someone, and then he'd go back to the serious business. So we'd be chatting in a big room. He'd be like, "Now, lads, can we go and have a chat about the serious business?" The serious business was football, and that was it. And he loved it. And he drove up and down for 2 years from Salt Hill until late 23, when we said, "Jono, do you know what I mean? This is madness. You're driving up and down," or whatever it was. But no, brilliant character down to the end. I was chatting to his wife last week, Ger. This week is poignant for them, or whatever the word is. It's raw, she said. You know, obviously, Connacht finals is John O'Mahony in Galway and in Mayo, and everyone remember him. His first anniversary is coming up. July.
Very soon, yeah.
So look, what a guy who's left a remarkable mark on the GA in Galway and Mayo and all over the country.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you've obviously taken over Salt Hill Knocknacarra now as well, and we might ask you about that.
He made us take over Salt Hill.
He made you take over.
He said, "Lads, if you don't take over Salt and Knocknacarra next year, I'm coming back." I said, "Fuck's sake, we'll save it the trip, Jono, this year, and we'll do it." So, yeah.
Would that be common, someone from one either Galway or Mayo being involved in the other camp. Like, would Mayo take a Galway person in their?
Well, they did.
In their
They
management
have.
team?
Well, we took
They have.
Peter
Joe
Ford.
Canny. Joe
No.
Canny is part of the.
Peter Ford managed then after John O'Heath
No,
came
there
in.
was,
He was
there was a
But it's
problem.
always the other way,
No,
though,
let
isn't
me
it?
tell you, there was a problem with that.
What do you mean?
Well, we thought we were getting the hurler.
The Mayo boys are slower to let us into Mayo than we are let. Like half of the
Didn't
HSE in
realise-
Galway are from Mayo.
Didn't realise the wrong man turned up.
It's true though. It's
I
true.
presume.
They're very clannish, Tommy.
I can tell.
I tell you what,
Both-
you can't.
both like.
If you go near Ballinrobe, you're out of shape. But
Yeah.
half of Mayo are in Galway. Like they're all living here. There's Mayo flags all over.
Well, we can hear them.
Naficara tonight. As you drive through, it's they're fully. Like I don't want to go into politics here now, but it's fully invested.
Yeah.
There's a bit of ethnic cleansing going on in Galway at the minute. There's a lot of just something needs. We'll talk about it after. Fucking stay out of Galway, you fuck.
Don't worry, you won't catch me in there. And I don't know how we've a Galway man either in there. I don't know what he's at, but
Well, there's obviously the connection with Stephen Rochford going back to Corofin. Joe Canny was a coach there and involved there for a long time as well. So he's part of this Dream backroom team in Mayo. Did he replace Liam McHale when he went in? I think he did.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. None of the ex-Mayo players got a shout, did they?
No. Wouldn't be my choice now, but I don't know. I don't see why we have somebody. Like, to be honest, it's, I've no doubt a great coach and good fella and the whole lot. I've absolutely no doubt about that. But there's more like, I think we've like 5 or 6 different people doing big jobs in the sports psychologist is Claire. I think the S&C coach is Cork.
Yeah, like you've had
Joe-
Mickey Moore and John Morrison over you before as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so what, is it just Galway?
Well, yeah, like I don't see why you bring someone else in from next door, like. Do you
But
know what I mean?
it worked with Jono.
Yeah, but he was the manager.
Okay,
It's different.
all right.
Do you know, they got Peter Ford as well. That's different, but
Okay.
it's only my opinion. But like that, sure, who cares? But if we win on Sunday,
Are you saying there's enough people in Mayo to be sorting Mayo's shit out?
you'd
Is what you're
imagine.
saying, yeah.
You'd imagine we've enough down there, but
Yeah.
So why are you all working down here then, or what's the story with that?
the industry.
Let's meet to swap seats now for the second part.
In a second, yeah.
I know. Sure, we'll see Sunday. Hopefully, it'll work out. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, I didn't realise it was that controversial.
I know. It's grand. It's grand.
The,
There's going to be a crowd around him at the bar now asking the real question.
No, seriously though. Where was Joe Kenny, the hurler? We got the wrong man.
we're going to take a break right now on the Football Pod Live because we'll be here till 11 o'clock. So thanks very much for coming out and we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Thanks, folks.
Well done, boys.
Hey, folks. Thanks for coming back for the second half.
Fixing the sitting room.
Well hydrated.
Couldn't see a thing.
Yes. You got
Or
a couple of
there's
points in.
15 points in his head.
Keep coming in. Take your seats. I just want to give a wee shout out to a Football Pod member who's flown in from Boston. He's a mad Mayo fan. Jim's oldie, give us a shout, pal. How are you? What's the crack with the Red Sox top?
Red Sox.
The man is at about 2 hours sleep. He's already climbed Crow Patrick. He's managed to squeeze in the Football Pod Live and he's heading back to Westport tonight. Thanks, Jim.
Come on, Jim.
Fair play, man.
Jim.
Hey, that's the book that rented the flat to me. You fucking bastard. I knew you from somewhere. Jesus.
Yeah, Mayo and your benefactors, what? Let's leave that one. This weekend, there is a big game of football, and we've barely spoken about it tonight.
Kerry Clare.
Kerry Clare, yeah.
Thriller.
It's in Castlebar, and it's always funny looking at the record books, right? So, 95 times you've met in championship. Mayo have won one more than Galway, 45 to 44. There's been 6 draws. That wasn't the point I was making. The point I was making, and you can cheer when I get to it, the point I was making is, when one a year up, or your hot favourites, the script gets flipped. 98, Mayo had lost 2 All-Ireland finals back-to-back.
Yeah.
98 was supposed to be their year. Galway come through and do it. 06? Weren't Galway the hot shots in 06?
Yeah, yeah.
And what happened in 06?
Yeah. You're on to something, Tommy. I know where
Yeah.
you're going with this.
Michael Conroy, 2016, your tweet?
Got that one wrong.
Were you on the panel that time? Or were you actually gone?
No, he was gone.
Well, funny story actually. I was gone, right? I was gone. But actually, going back to the tweet, you know what I mean? I went out. I got when the lads rang me from see would I go to now I have no interest in soccer at all, but will you go to France to the Euros?
Unreal.
Of course I will. No interest in, you know what I mean? So we're out and Killarney now, early, and how the Connacht final go? Stop, formality, having a chance. Me thinking this, like, you know what I mean, going on the back of, I think we'd 5 in a row.
It was 5.
Yeah, we'd 5 in a row, and I think it's just having a chance, you know. It backfired really badly. And, of course, the boys were setting me up. Sure, you should, you know, if you feel that way, you should tweet it, like, you know. Me, well, get him right. You're dead right. Oh, mother of God. The battery went in my phone, right, so I didn't realise I had hit the headlines. Do you know what I mean? When I woke up and plugged it in, the next thing it lit up like a Christmas tree. I says, oh, you are joking me. Bit of a boo. And then Paul Conroy retweeted it or liked it. I was in college with him. I have to respect it. I got it wrong.
And to be fair to you, that game, we were under pressure.
Yeah.
David Clark kicked the ball to Tom Flynn. We were 4 down.
I think it was Robbie, no?
Or was it Robbie?
Yeah,
He
one
kicked
of
the
them,
ball
yeah.
to Tom Flynn. Tom Flynn
Flynn
went
buried
in,
it.
stuck it, 1 point in it. We came back and won it. It was one we had to get to kind of wrestle back somewhat what was left of the 2010s.
Finian,
Yes.
Galway fancy dance. Jono pulling out the newspaper. It's iconic. We got a clip of it in a documentary. Pat Comer's brilliant work. We all love it.
Yeah.
Was Michael Conroy's tweet pinned to the dressing room wall that day?
Kevin was
No, it was the morning of the game I did it.
Yes and no. There was a barren spell there. Mayo had completely taken off. When James Horan came in, I suppose when James Horan came in, they played London in the first round of the championship. I don't know, Mickey, were you there? But they extra time over in Ruislip.
Yeah.
First round
Yes,
of the championship.
11, yeah.
London probably should have won that game. It's funny because if you go back to last year, Galway Sligo, how we won down in Sligo last year, I'll never know. Divine intervention or whatever it is. But Kevin had a funny way. Excellent football manager, Kevin Walsh. Excellent. Like really, really intense, but really, really good. He knew the game really well. But he had a way of kind of, you know, building it up. He brought us down to Castlebar, put us all in the stand, looking out on the pitch and all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of one that had to be wrestled back. It had to be done regardless. And you need a lucky break, which we got that day. And then it became the Galway Roscommon show for the next couple of years, and Mayo kind of came back, which was great. Even though Mayo were getting to All Ireland finals, but in Connacht, Galway and Roscommon were battling out.
You had so many battles. Like you would have been around the panel in 04 when I think Mayo beat Galway. Is it a Connacht semi-final? And they had Roscommon next. They hardly took Roscommon for granted that day, did they?
Well, funny story about that one, Tommy. Believe it or not. But went out to New York. I was saying that. Went out to New York in 04 and great time there. And bet Galway in the semi-final. Yeah, bet Galway in the semi-final. Packed McHale Park and we had Roscommon coming up in the final. But after the game, my good friend Conor Mort, right? And I don't want to say because Mort was absolutely brilliant footballer, great teammate, excellent, do you know, but just great energy, great fun. And interviewed after, he'd gone really well in the game, do you know?
Who interviewed him?
I think it was Angelina McHugh or someone like that.
Angelina Nugent.
Angelina Nugent at the time, of course, yeah. And
I went looking for the audio.
yeah, I was Tommy's teed me up for this one now, right? So back then it was the old McHale Park dressing room, which is the Caspar Mitchell's now clubhouse, and dressing rooms very tight together. And we'll say they had 4 dressing rooms, 2 down the far side for the minors that used to happen, which is a thing I definitely think should bring back. I thought it was a great occasion. Minors played before a senior game. So that was fine. So we went in after, and obviously the energy is high after beating Galway, who were had a really good team at the time, and after losing the All Ireland in 01, and they had a lot of brilliant players, and we'd D back, I think, or Kieran MacDonald back. You know what I mean? And we felt we were going places. And
This is our year.
oh, this, you know, yeah, every year was our year. It didn't happen. The questions didn't suit us. But so Mart, in fairness to him, started off beautiful. Started off on script, tunnel vision. The game, yeah, remember really well, Galway, great team. You know all these cliches that they're saying. You have to, you know, it's nonsense nowadays. I actually I'm fed up watching these managers, you know, giving the shy. Will you just say what you think? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, the cliche, yeah, really good game. We knew coming up was going to be a great battle, really tight battle coming down to McHale Park. It always is bullshit. And then she lands, you know, he was going really well, really, really steady. And then he got excited. And she said to him, Roscommon, the Connacht final, what do you think of that? Wouldn't worry too much about Roscommon. Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, but this is the days before Twitter, so nobody's
Oh
getting
yeah,
screen
so,
grabbed.
yeah,
or-
so no one knew he'd actually said that.
What's it on, RT?
No, it would have been on Midwest Radio back in the day.
Local, no.
But
Radio.
the archive doesn't go back that far,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So
Yeah.
thanks.
We
to
should
that
use
guy.
Says no, but that was grand. So we didn't know he'd said it. John Mahan didn't know it said he was the manager at the time until a month later, because at that time, as I said, we said earlier on, it's 4 weeks to the Connacht final. Arrived at the Connacht final anyway, playing Roscommon. And we were favourites to win it after beating Galway, of course. And into the McHale Park dressing room, Caspar Mitchell's now current ones. Minor game beforehand, usual stuff. So we're up the far side, and a brick wall is separating the Mayo dressing room and the Roscommon dressing room. And of course, we hadn't heard about. I wouldn't worry too much about Roscommon. We hadn't heard that. We didn't know this went on, but we did when we landed into the restroom. Because, you know, back then, it was funny, like, old school stuff that doesn't happen now because the facilities have gone so big and stuff like that. There's a separate room for the physio. Not back then. The physio went into the showers, right? So you'd be going to get in the strap and or whatever like that. What the fuck is that? Am I here? Is there something next door? Can you hear that? Saying to the boys, you know, Connacht final now, all serious. What the fuck is that? They said, up against the tile, and as I said, the brick separated us between us and Roscommon, and all I could hear next door is, I wouldn't worry too much about the Rossies. The Rossies picked up the Midwest Radio and had it on repeat. And I mean repeat. It went on and on and on. And Mart, did you say something about the Rossies? Yeah, man. Sure, we'll give it a go anyway. We'll give it a blast. But
In fairness to him.
yeah,
He kicked 9 points.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he played well. He played well. You know,
Did they just play, or did they remix it into a bit of a song? Like,
Huh?
did they go like, "I'm looking for a man in finance"? That sounds like Do it
Yeah.
like
I was looking for the audio. We'll
Yeah,
keep looking for it.
yeah, we couldn't get it. But the funny thing, and I thought you might get this, is the Cape Kern was the captain. Am I right in saying that?
I couldn't find. Yeah, he was the captain then. Yeah,
Cape Kern was the captain. Of course, we all know Cake. He's energetic guy, and
a character.
yeah, really passionate about the game and the whole lot. Won his All-Ireland Bridges, great goalie and the whole lot. But he was into Roscommon football. But this was obviously replaying in his head. He was pumped, and so much to the tune. Like the old tunnel went down, and it was a great run out back then. It was absolutely brilliant. It was a brilliant run out. Great, you know. But Cake was ready, and he was nearly. You know, a good Grand National horse going over the last. He's 10 lengths ahead. He was leading out the team, and the boy, Cake is gone. He will clean out the tunnel. RT cameras back then were just at the edge of the tunnel. You know what I mean? Cake didn't even see the RT cameras. Up skittled a lot. Out he went, kicked the ball into the stand, and gave the 2 fingers in the whole action. The Roscommon team came about 5 minutes later after him, but he was pumped. Wouldn't worry too much about the Rossies.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we don't wear arrogance and confidence too well in this country. It backfires. But it didn't backfire on you that day.
Not that day.
No, that's
Plenty other days.
That's a great story. But you need those characters. Like, do those characters still exist? Finian, you're coaching Salt Hill and Knocknacarra, and there was that brilliant photo in New York where the Salt Hill club put up, there was the 6 lads in the Galway team.
Yeah.
And obviously Donald Hunt from Kerry, who had played at Salt Hill and was playing with New York. Is there characters still?
There is still characters. I suppose we're lucky at the minute, particularly in the club, but we're lucky in the county. We've a brilliant team at the minute. Over the last couple of years, we've had great days out and things like that. But like, it's funny where they came from. We were talking backstage about the likes of John Maher. Like John, people talk about John, you know, he's a freak of nature. He's nominated for Football of the Year at All-Star, but very, very loose character. He's not the type
John
of...
Maher.
John Maher.
Solid. He's surely the most solid man.
Not a fucking hope in hell. John Maher was setting up a bar in the Alps 3 years ago, and this was the shit that was going on. He was setting up a hemp factory and then a sweet shop.
Is that legal?
I swear to God, this was what was going on. And John said, I was telling you about we hadn't won an under-21 championship in Salt Hill in 30 years. 30 years. So John Maher, I was managing, John Maher and Robert Finnerty were on the team, a couple of other lads or whatever it is, but like we decent enough teams that we'll go at it. Semi-final, Mike Cullen, Pearse Stadium, Saturday. Phone rings. Finn's, oh yeah. Johnny, what's wrong? Is this game going ahead Saturday? It is, John, yeah, it's county semi-final, like there's no way out of it.
They don't normally get called after.
You're American Sean Kelly and that's it. You know I'm away on Saturday. I said, yeah, but have you sorted it out? No, I can't sort it out. Where are you going? I'm going to London. What are you going to London for? See family. Fuck's sake, John, tell me why you're going to fucking London. Okay, so turns out John's going to a rave in West London in a church. and now I can say this because John's a freak now. He's a freak and he trains like hell and he's super committed, but obviously, you know, he came from somewhere, right? So off John goes. We try and change the game, can't change the game. Try and get a Ryanair flight out later, can't get... He wouldn't go on the later flight because the rave started at 11 o'clock in the church and went on till 11 o'clock the next morning. So he rings me after the following day on the way back in the plane. Unbelievable time, man. It was absolutely off the rails. Naming all these DJs. Did you win? Yeah, we won, John, yeah. And you're the captain of the fucking team and you're over in West London in a church. I'm going, fucking hell. So when you talk about characters, Johnny's a character, but... Then he switched the flipped the switch,
what a
and he went,
like.
fucking, I'm going to go at this for the next couple of years. He got taken off. Galway's worst loss ever to Mayo was in Tuam in 2020. He got taken off half-time. He fucked up. Yeah, calm down. That was years ago. He got taken off at half-time. He went off to the French Alps to find himself, came back, and he said, right, I'm going to spend the next 4 years.
Tommy Fury.
Exactly, yeah. Mentally, he
Working
wasn't
on
ready.
himself.
Literally, he wasn't ready. John's 26 now, came back, put his head down. He's still a bit of a character, which people, and you boys were asking me, like, what time, we see this freak in nature who trains every day. He does all that, but he still, you might see him in a Supermax having a snack box the odd time, bit of time to himself. He's a brilliant character for the GA,
Yeah. We need more of that.
And
it's class.
I'd love to see him win All Ireland because I'd love to see him after it. You know?
Yeah. That'd be brilliant. Yeah. But hey,
his parents here, are they fucking? They don't know
like,
about the rave.
But what a footballer as well. Like he's sort of come out of nowhere. And you mentioned that game in Tuam in 2020.
Yeah.
And it was the making of a few. Like Cian Darcy, the last day was off the charts. You know.
The Quailies are in definitely. Fucking.
You know,
Darcy is on a gym program of just bicep curls, I'd say, is he? Do you see him interviewed?
Well, he went to
They
Dublin.
couldn't get
He
his
moved to
head
Ballyboden
down.
and then
That's all they
and
do
he
there.
came back looking all. He had a tash, long ponytail, hanging around with these boys.
He went and found himself.
Yeah, he was hanging around with the boys in Dublin. He had a bit of a Dublin twang actually when he came back, Cian Darcy as well. And the Carl Strand lads couldn't understand him.
yeah. We might actually have a look at the two teams here. We better talk a bit of football. Brony, you might just flick up the Galway team. A strong team. So obviously missing a couple of frontline players. So anyone listening in on podcast tomorrow, I'm sure you know the team by now, but Conor Gleeson in goals. A fairly solid full back line in Johnny McGrath, Sean Fitzgerald, Jack Glynn. A fairly decent half back line in Dylan McHugh, Sean Mulcairn, and Liam Silk. We've got Paul Conroy and I've lost the team there. I was reading
Sean
it.
Kelly.
I have it back up. Sean Kelly in midfield.
I have it,
okay.
Sean.
Half forward line, Cian Darcy, John Maher, Killian McDade. Fairly good. Matthew Tierney, Rob Finnerty, Matthew Thompson. Like it's a strong Galway side. Damien Comer and Shane Walsh aren't even on the bench. Now we don't know where they're going to be in the standby panel. They can be added back in. Peter Cook is number 26 after being brought back in. Not a bad fella to have back. Like there's a reason why Galway are being talked about as genuine All-Ireland contenders this year, and it's not just to do with last year and falling short against Armagh. It's the progress that we're seeing with that panel and that squad over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's hard to make a case against them, Michael.
No, absolutely no. Listen,
Are you gonna?
No. No, look at it.
Twitter later.
Wait till I get your phone.
20 points in this.
I'll say this, right? Like, in fairness, they've built out their squad. There's no doubt about they've built out their squad. There's some huge men there. They're big boys in the air. The game has changed.
Should they have a great Galway coach as well in there?
No, we're talking about Galway.
No, we have him.
Huh?
We're talking about... How many
We're
points
talking about Galway.
We're talking about Galway.
Go
That's
with
it.
Jim.
Huh? Carry on.
James, you were wearing your red jumper.
I apologise.
No more points for Jimmy.
But if you wanted a
him off.
Coors Light, he's killing them. Jesus Christ Almighty!
I'm sorry.
But if you're
Continue,
if you're looking at it, if you're looking at the Mayo or the Galway team on form, the two this is the way I look at it: form, the 2-point shooters, and the aerial bombardment that they have. It's ferocious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. Like, the half forward line there is huge. Finnerty's a great shooter. Matty Tierney is playing great stuff, and Thompson is in. Like, they haven't had. When was the last time they had Comer and Walsh? In fairness to Galway, fit, playing at the peak of their powers, probably 2022.
We saw it, it's a long time, isn't
Like
it?
last year's All-Ireland final, if Sean Kelly, Walsh and Comer probably, injured.
Yeah.
And they come up just short, you know what I mean? So they haven't had them. They've built out their squad. And in fairness to PJ, and I will give him absolute dues on this, and I think it's a trend, and Paddy, we had it for a certain while. It's longevity in the management, I think. Because, PJ's first couple of years a little bit shaky, gets it done then, brings in Keane O'Neill, just 3 in a row, maybe 4 in a row, 6 years coming on. Armagh,
Look at McGeaney, yeah.
McGeaney does 10 years, gets it done. Jim does 7, 5 in a row, and finishes with 6. Did he do 6? 6.
Yeah, but in fairness to Jim, he won 1 in year 1. Forget about year 2. He wins 2 in year 3, 4 in year 5. Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like we spoke about earlier on, it takes a while for them to get used to the environment, get used to what the standards are, what they expect, what the kick-out strategy is, all that sort of stuff, the psychology, the stuff around the group and all that. And it seems to me that Galway are definitely, I'm not saying they're coming inside, they're here, they've arrived, whether they can get it done or not.
The only thing I would say about Galway is, and this has been going on for a couple of years, is like they have unbelievable individual players, and you could name off every player. They are probably in the top 3 best in their position in the country. But the Walsh-Comer dynamic,
Never worked.
it hasn't caught fire at all. Like, you'd either have Walsh shooting the lights out, All-Ireland final, 8 or 9 of the best points you'd ever see, or Comer doing it all by himself, bullying the full back line, getting a couple of great goals or points. But like, the two of them together hasn't
I agree
clicked.
with you, Jimmy, but I would say in Galway's defence, and Finian, you'll tell me more, in the 10 years, how many of those years were both of them fully flying fit together, playing at the same time?
But that's what I mean. And even now, neither of them on the panel.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going to get over the line and win it, like they should with that panel of players, they'll need them both firing.
Absolutely.
And I think both in cahoots. You can't just have one shooting the lights out and the other maybe quiet. I think you need them both.
If you look at 2022, Galway beat Derry in the semi-final, and Comer's man of the match. I think he scores that great goal and he shoots the lights up. But Shane Walsh does fuck all, and Kluski's marking him. And then 3 weeks later in the All-Ireland final, Walsh is one of the great performances, and Comer does fuck all in the final.
Yeah.
And that's...
But they're the old rules.
No, I get that. I'm going to get to this point eventually. What Joyce has done, he alluded to it last day after the beat Roscommon as well, and I think he's at pains to say this, that they're not as reliant on these 2 guys. They are accepted.
But they want that narrative as well. don't they?
Exactly, but that's credit to what Joyce and the Galway players have done in the last probably 18, 24 months, is that they can go and wipe Roscommon the last day, with Comer only coming on for the last quarter and having a bit of an impact, but Rob Finnerty's emergence, Matty Tierney's emergence, these guys, and we're talking about Johnny
Keane
Marr,
Darcy.
Killian McDade, these guys all around the middle third. That's what, it's very, very, it's impossible to win an All-Ireland out of the blue like that. It's a journey for every team. Armagh with Nagini, look at the amount of heartbreak those guys had. Penalty shootouts, extra time defeats. Galway a couple of years ago, they eventually got there. Derry were on that road with Gallagher, Mickey Hart. They never got there in the end, but you can see they're probably over the other side of that hill now. It takes 2 or 3 years. We were the same with Dublin eventually winning in 11. Galway feel like they've paid their dues for the last. Obviously, the 22 final was probably, I didn't back them to win that game. I thought Kerry would win, particularly after beat Dublin. But losing last year's final would have hurt them. I think they're a better team than Armagh. and they just didn't get the job done because
They were so unlucky with the injuries.
Waltz didn't play well, Comer didn't play well, Kelly didn't play. That's their 3 key goals. So, but what I'd say for Galway for this year, and if you're looking at Sunday, I would be amazed if they don't beat Mayo.
We're gonna get to the case.
If you look, you mentioned the rules, right? Teams are losing matches now, scoring like Antrim scored 124, and still got whapped by Armagh. The scoring rates have gone way up, and the biggest issue that Mayo have, if Ryan O'Donoghue needs to go bananas and score 112 or 113, but where are they going to get the rest of their score?
Well, let's look at the Mayo team here.
They're not going to.
Just to give a mention, Ross Coyne, if you're here, Ross Coyne dropped me a message on Twitter or on Instagram asking what time the show finished at. We're going to run a couple of minutes over here. If you want to make your train at 10:25, hit the road now. Okay, so the Mayo team, there we have it. Colin Marie, Coyne, McHugh, Hession, Callanan, McBrien. It's gone for me again, but I can't remember it.
But Tommy, if Mayo,
Durkin's on the bench.
If Mayo are going to win that game,
right,
they have to win it 16 points, I reckon, is what they're limited.
Games like that anymore.
That's what I mean. With the new rules, they're not going to score that much. Like Galway are without that sprinkling of stardust with Conroy and Walsh, there's no doubt. Outside of Connacht and going on to win All Ireland, they will need them. Whether they'll need them this weekend or not is debatable. But they'll still score easily in the low 20s at a canter. Whereas Mayo need to work so hard. Like Mayo scored 112. Was it 12 or 112 against Kerry in the league final? In Croke Park. In Croke Park. You could, honestly, Croke Park is the easiest place to rack up a score. And there are only 12 defenders.
Even the last day against Leitrim, Aidan O'Shea is an exceptional player, but he's never been a scorer. He's such an impact on the game, but he's not a guy who's going to score 6 or 7 points from play. The same, Matty Rowan. You look at the Galway team. Matty Tierney could score 1-3.
Yeah, but Matty Rowan is shooting the lights out in the league this year. He is. He is. Vinny, you please make the case for Mayo this weekend.
I will. I'll make a massive case, right? They're the best team in the country by a country mile. They're going to walk the game on Sunday. Anyone who's got any money or cash, go down and back them because they're 9-4. They're easy fucking money.
Don't do that.
Don't mind these lads. Don't mind these lads. They don't care about the West.
No.
They don't care about Galway or fucking. They're only here to pay fucking lip service.
We've come all the way over.
Look, we spend enough time in Galway and Mayo talking about games taking a life of their own. And you go back to, hang on a second. It's not that long ago, last April or May, when Galway played Mayo. Mayo were the better team that day. No one can argue that. They took off Aidan O'Shea. And if they didn't, they would have won the game, right?
Or if David Goff had given the free the right way.
Yeah, in fairness. But either way, it was tight.
But it's fine lines.
It's fine lines, right? And you've got now a midfield battle that there's kickouts going along, the rules have changed. There's nothing to say that Matty Rowan and Aidan O'Shea will win that, or the boys out around the middle. There's nothing to say that. I know we've got Keane and we've got John and Paul and these guys who can win as well. But there's a lot happening there, and there's shy teams winning midfield battles against really fucking good teams. So there's not a huge pile between Mayo and Galway. And so there's absolutely not. And I know the Castlebar thing, someone said, was it 2014, the last time Mayo bet Galway and Castlebar. Like, we have a decent record in Castlebar. We like going to Castlebar. And it's great it's in Castlebar because the atmosphere and everything. Castlebar is a great venue for a Connacht final. Great venue for a Connacht final. But I think Mayo are going to be sitting there this week going, fuck, this is gift horse stuff.
It's a great place.
No Comer, no Shane Walsh. Why the fuck wouldn't we have a cut at this and actually maybe go back into the old Mayo and start running the ball?
Will Mayo score 122 on Sunday?
No, but they mightn't fucking concede it either. They mightn't concede it either. They might just up their game. Like, they don't have bad players. Dave McBrien's not a bad player.
I'm not saying they're bad players.
Can Jack Coyne take Robert Finnerty?
Yeah, but Finian, I think you're thinking about it. In defence, they're fine. They're solid, right? But when Mayo teams were outstanding and in contention to win All Irelands and had unbelievable players, you would Keegan getting 1-2 or 1-1 from the back. You would Higgins getting up for a point or two. You Cullen Boyle coming up for 2 or 3 points. You're not getting that from the full forward line. No. Never mind the backs.
Yeah.
Like, the scores are not there.
But they were still in a league final. I think Galway will win on Sunday. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it's going to be half as far away as. Well, I don't see it. I don't see it because there's going to be emotion. Like
No,
it's hairy down there. It's fucking hairy down there.
but Galway will
Supporters, it can get the ref. There's going to be fucking fire down there on Sunday. Mickey, you know this. It's fucking. It's lightning down there, and it's who can be up for it. There's going to be all sorts happening. I just don't think that it's going to be the game that people. It's definitely not that one-sided.
The teams have
I think
met-
Galway will win, but it won't be that.
Teams have met 9 times in McHale Park since the year 2000 in the Connacht Championship. And Galway have won 5 of them. So home advantage isn't even in your favour as well. So, Mickey, are you even going to bother turning up on Sunday?
Oh, we'll be there, yeah. Oh, we'll be there. No, look, I understand the points. And of course, yeah, at this moment in time, Friday night, it doesn't look brilliant for Mayo. Of course it doesn't, because on the scoring things and all the rest, right? And there is points to be made on that. But I just think, and we've all been there the last few championships, that we've seen this, like when they lost by a point last year, year before we bet them, knocked them out of the championship. You know, but these are just the facts. I'm only stating facts here. Like these are, you know, like you have to realise Galway came down to McHale Park, 10-point hammering. You know, a lot of these players very proud Mayo people. You know, the fire's going to come.
Of course.
They turn the corner. Like suddenly, you know, sometimes you know, 4 o'clock game on a Sunday. And you might have watched the whatever it is the Clare and Kerry game, yeah, beforehand, and that could be tight.
Curtain raiser.
Curtain raiser, it's the big one. But you watch that game, and suddenly, you know, all this talk of Galway, and they win by this and that and the other. Next thing the game comes around, there's half, 3, quarter to 4. Mayo turn the corner, ready for battle, stomach for battle, and ready to go. And 4 o'clock comes, and 10 or 15 minutes in, it's tight. And I think that can happen on Sunday. There's no doubt about it. But for me, Mayo need to go. They need to go really direct. I think they need to stop the kind of the back and over the lateral play. They need to go with fire, start it early.
That doesn't work anymore. The lateral play.
It does, Tommy. Jesus.
The lateral play does not work anymore.
Yeah, I think you're talking about, you know, Donlan and Joyce earlier on. I think we need to put the ball in. Just go and like at the end of the day, right? We haven't won the last 3. So what's the, you know, if it's going to be 4, it's only a number. So why, if we're going to go for it hard and go for it with a bit of pride and passion, the whole lot, and see how we get on by the time we get to 60 minutes, 62.
But what we also haven't mentioned is the prize. The better prize is to lose the final.
Don't start that. Jesus Christ.
You know what, Jimmy?
Why did they do that? Why?
Imagine going into the game not wanting to win or lose.
It's
like
crazy they did the draw. Like how? Like whatever happens in the rest of the country, right? And I know we're in Galway. It's horseshit. Whatever happens in the rest of the country, what happens in Galway in a kind of final, Galway and Mayo, it's unique. And I agree with you. The provincials are dying. They're dying. But this is unique because in every workplace, all the people here, every workplace, it's seeping in. Even if you don't give a fuck about football, it's seeping in. There was kids from Nigeria outside my house tonight with Mayo jerseys on, shouting "Up Mayo, up Mayo," and it seeps in. It's in my club. It's fucking everywhere. My brother-in-law is here somewhere. He's a pain in the fucking hole. Where is he? He's from Clare Island. Jesus Christ tonight. I'll have to leave the fucking country. But it seeped in all of us. And over here, we're very close together. It's just and the players will feel this as well because Aidan O'Shea has to be in work this week. Everyone has to be in work, and people are saying, "Well, you've no fucking chance on Saturday." You tell me you can't hear that as a player.
100%.
Of course you can. These boys are proud. I think Sunday's going to be a cracker. I think Galway will win, but it's going to be a fucking super occasion. I hope it's a massive crowd. It's going to be a big occasion.
But
I'm selling it.
Mayo knew, you know, with I suppose it is disrespect, with disrespect to Sligo and Leitrim that they're going to be in a Connacht final.
Yeah.
So they had the whole, you know, it is.
Did you say with respect or with disrespect?
Well, it's disrespect because they're saying.
I wasn't sure what you
No, but
said.
it is, you know, because you always hear that one with respect. No, with total disrespect. Because that's what it is, really. Like they weren't given a chance to come in. They haven't bet us in so many years. Why would you think that they come do it? So you know, it's with respect. No, complete disrespect. You aren't going to win, right? So Mayo knew they were going to be in a Connacht final for like months out. So you'd have to imagine, like, you know, Kevin McStay and all the lads, they're around a while. They know this is coming. You know, the S&C coach and the whole lot. They'd have planned, possibly trained through that to a certain level. And tick the box to get to it. They have to come with something on Sunday. There's no two ways about it.
Well, as you said, the bookies have it a certain way. It's very, very strong. Yeah. We did our very best to pick a combined Mayo and Galway 15. I'm going to rattle through it very, very quickly here. And it's an 8-7 split, would you believe?
You started
we
right.
had no say in
We
this
had
whatsoever.
absolutely no say in this.
None. You've just basically wrote it down
First
yourself.
I've heard of this.
The boys decided to go reaping goals. McGrath, Donegan McHugh, and the Hessian full back line. So that's 2-3 Mayo in the back four. Dylan McHugh, Sean Kelly. Killy McDade has been shifted back to 7. Paddy Durkin's not fit.
This is worse than the All-Stars, Tommy. What is going on?
They've gone for a midfield of Paul Conroy and Matty Ruan. A half-forward line of
God.
Tierney Maher and Jordan Flynn. And up top, Rob Finnerty joined by the Mayo duo of Aidan O'Shea and Ryan O'Donoghue. So,
What?
that's
Not our
the
team.
15.
Your
The
team,
only
Tommy.
thing I said with that team was the full forward line should be Walsh, Comer and Finnerty.
They're not
Well,
fit.
Even if they weren't fit.
When did this conversation happen?
In the tracksuits, they should be the full forward line.
Just started writing.
It's going to be a lot tighter than it has been made out. I honestly think it is.
Yeah.
So,
It's a good weekend ahead.
there's a good weekend of football ahead.
Yeah. Good
Thanks very much. We're not finished yet. There's one last bit left here, but thanks very much to all of you for coming out this evening. Paddy, for a few words. Oh, what about the Ulster final? We'll come back to
Next
that.
week.
We'll come
Next
back
week,
to that.
lads.
We'll do
Be
that in
our
the
man
residence bar. We'll do that in the residence
Yeah.
bar.
The night is young, lads.
Exactly. Donegal for Sam is right. We are going to be back on the road with thanks to AIB in July for the All-Ireland final. So we hope we might see some Galway fans or Mayo fans there. You might be back at it. But thanks very much for joining us here tonight, for AIB for putting on the show, the Galway Hotel and Spa for a phenomenal setup here as well, and to all the team to make it help us put it together. Michael Conroy and Finian Hanley.
Well done, lads.
Before I get you a round of applause for joining us, and I really appreciate your time and the effort you put into it, I want predictions. James O'Donoghue, starting with you. Who's going to win this weekend and by how much? Not the curtain raiser.
Kerry should win by 8 to 9. In the Connacht final, despite Walsh and Comer being out, I still think Galway physically have it over every team, and they definitely have it over Mayo the weekend. Obviously, the Castlebar factor is a factor, but I still think
Okay, that's
that
Galway.
Galway are 6 points the better team the weekend.
Okay. Paddy Andrews, over to you.
Galway by 5, yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Finian Hanley, over to you.
You can't go to a replay, can it? No. Penalties.
No.
Yeah.
Then go to penalties. Yeah?
Penalties, yeah. No, I think it'll be
so.
tight. I think Galway by 2. I think Galway will win, but it'll be very, very, very tight. And a bit of controversy as well. Who's reffing?
Goff.
Gaff.
No, he's not.
Oh, if Galway by 9, we're so.
Do you know what is a way that a game in the new rules can get tighter is if the underdog has 2-point shooters. And I don't think that Mayo have, that's the one out they have, and I don't think they have the 2-point shooters either.
Do they not have the Michael? Can they have been?
These guys haven't a clue. With total disrespect to the boys. Mayo by 2.
Mayo by 2. There you go. I reckon, I know my opinion doesn't matter as much, but I reckon that Mayo are going to take them to extra time, and Galway are going to win an extra time.
Crowd please.
Yeah. Okay. I'm off the fence. Galway to beat them in extra time. Folks, thanks very much. Thanks again for AIB for making the pod happen. Paddy Andrews, James O'Donoghue, thank you. Michael Conroy, Finian Hanley, thank you very much.
Oh, Mikey.
You've all been great. Thanks a million, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.